Indiana Fever, DeWanna Bonner is out according to sources, and she want to get the hell out of Indy. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way up to Indianapolis. Let's get it. Let's go.
It's time we talk about what's really going on with DeWanna Bonner and the Indiana Fever. The silence is loud, the excuses are weak, and the writing is on the wall. DeWanna Bonner isn't coming back. For weeks, we've been fed vague updates, told she's out due to personal reasons, and expected to move on as if one of the most important veteran signings for the Fever this season just casually disappeared.
I wouldn't say confirmed, but multiple league insiders are reporting to Annie Costabile, of course Annie Costabile is breaking this news, of Front Office Sports that DeWanna Bonner has quote-unquote no interest in returning to the Indiana Fever.
No press conference, no formal goodbye, no timeline for return. Just a slow fade into the background. But the truth always comes out. And the truth is, this was never about a temporary absence. This was an exit silent, but intentional. Let's rewind for a second.
DeWanna Bonner has no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever at all. Hard stop. She wants out, whether it's via trade, whether it's via waived. DeWanna Bonner does not want to come back to this Indiana Fever team. Fever and Bonner heading for a breakup. Here's what we know. According to multiple sources, DeWanna Bonner has no interest in returning to play for the Fever. DeWanna Bonner's days with the Indiana Fever could be coming to an end. The two-time WNBA champion has no interest in returning to play for the Fever.
The Indiana Fever made headlines when they signed DeWanna Bonner during the offseason. It was supposed to be a strategic move, pairing a seasoned, battle-tested vet with a young, electrifying core led by Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston. Bonner brought a championship pedigree, averaging double-digit points and acting as a calming locker room presence for much of her WNBA career. Her leadership was supposed to be invaluable, especially for a team in transition.
DeWanna Bonner was one of the most exciting free agency pickups in the entire offseason. When it comes to what it felt like Indiana needed next to Caitlin Clark, when it felt like what they needed next to Aliyah Boston, DeWanna Bonner fit that perfectly. A big that's willing to defend, a big that can stretch the floor, a big that can run the floor. DeWanna Bonner was everything that you wanted and more.
After years of irrelevance, the Fever were finally trending up, thanks to a generational rookie and a clear direction. Bonner's presence was meant to accelerate that growth, but it didn't take long before everything started unraveling. Barely a few weeks into the season, the team announced Bonner would be stepping away due to personal reasons. No interviews, no further elaboration, and that's when the confusion began. Fans were left guessing, media didn't press hard, and the team played coy. Was it health-related? A family emergency? A mental break? We've seen personal leaves in professional sports before, and when handled with clarity and respect, the community generally understands. But this was different. The complete absence of transparency raised red flags. Even as weeks passed, there was no update, only silence. That's when speculation turned to frustration. Then things started getting more obvious. Bonner's banner was reportedly taken down inside the Fever's home arena.
Some people have been saying that her banner has been taken down. I don't know how true that is, but from what people are saying and seeing, they said her banner is taken down. Now, yes, that is alarming if it is real. I don't know exactly what it might mean if they did take it down, but you have to think it's not a good sign. Now, we all remember what Stephanie White ended up saying in the practice when asked about DeWanna Bonner. She was saying, like, you know, there's no timeline, right? No timeline, but they're just making sure that they're staying supportive of her. So I don't know if it's really a team thing, a team issue, the reason why she is missing right now. I feel like it really is something personal. I don't think there's any resentment or anything like that towards the Indiana Fever. I just think it really is something going on outside of the basketball world.
The team stopped mentioning her in promotional material. Younger players were taking on increased minutes, and it became clear the Fever weren't planning around her return. And fans noticed. Because if you're truly expecting a key player to come back, you don't erase their presence from the franchise's visuals. You don't move on that quickly, unless the decision was already made internally, and that's exactly what happened. Now let's talk about the possible reasons for Bonner's absence, because it sure as hell doesn't seem like it's just personal.
because this is breaking damn news. It said, according to multiple sources, the Indiana Fever and DeWanna Bonner are headed for a breakup. More on what options the Fever have and where DeWanna Bonner could end up.
First, we can't ignore the timing of her relationship with Connecticut Sun star Alyssa Thomas. Bonner and Thomas are engaged and publicly share a deep bond. It's entirely possible that being away from her partner, playing in a new city, and adjusting to a dramatically different team dynamic wasn't working for her. Maybe she thought she could handle it. Maybe she underestimated the emotional toll. But whatever it was, it seems clear that her heart wasn't in Indiana, and that's something the Fever either didn't realize or didn't want to admit when they signed her. Another theory gaining traction is that Bonner wasn't happy with her role. Let's be real. Caitlin Clark has shifted the entire ecosystem of the WNBA. Every team she joins, every game she plays in becomes a national story, and that kind of spotlight naturally repositions everyone else. Maybe Bonner felt overshadowed. Maybe she didn't want to play second or third fiddle to a rookie, even one as generational as Clark. It's not about ego necessarily, it's about respect.
DeWanna Bonner continues to be out for personal reasons, and all we've heard for the last 2 weeks, give DeWanna Bonner some grace. You don't know what she could possibly be going through. Just give her some grace, okay? Okay, you're right. She's on our team. We want to support her. Let's just give her some grace. And now we get some clarity on that situation. Now we get some understanding of that situation, and all of that grace can get thrown right out the window.
Bonner is a multiple-time All-Star, a Finals MVP, and one of the most decorated veterans in the league. If she felt like she wasn't being utilized properly or worse, disrespected, it's no surprise she walked away. But instead of addressing the situation like professionals, the Fever and Bonner left fans in the dark. That's where the biggest issue lies. Because this isn't just about one player's decision to leave, it's about how the organization handled it. Or rather, didn't handle it.
DeWanna Bonner, days with the Indiana Fever could be numbered, according to multiple sources. The two-time WNBA has no interest in playing for the Fever. God, so basically, she has no interest in playing for the Indiana Fever, guys. This is major news right now.
How do you go from promoting Bonner as a key offseason acquisition to pretending she doesn't exist? How do you talk about team culture, growth, and chemistry when one of your leaders just vanishes and no one provides a real explanation? It's not just bad PR, it's disrespectful to the fans, the teammates, and to Bonner herself. Even her teammates have kept quiet. That tells you everything. There's no "we miss her," no "we're excited for her return." Nothing. That's not just odd, it's calculated. This wasn't a family emergency. This wasn't a mental health break. This was a separation, maybe even a divorce.
I don't think it reflects well on DeWanna Bonner, whose absence was for quote-unquote personal reasons, but now it seems like she was just upset with the team and the situation overall, and it adds more drama to what has been a drama-filled season for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever.
Quiet, internal, and covered with a thin layer of public relations spin, but the cracks were always visible. And here's the deeper problem. It's not just about Bonner. This situation shines a light on how the WNBA still struggles with communication, transparency, and professional management. If this were the NBA and a star veteran vanished for weeks, you better believe there'd be statements, pressers, and a clear timeline. But in the WNBA, fans are still being asked to read between the lines. That can't continue, especially at a time when the league is seeing its biggest growth in decades.
DeWanna Bonner kind of quit. I don't know if there's a better word for it. She kind of quit. We've sort of seen some of this stuff in the NBA where players demand trades or act in a certain way to get a trade. I mean, most notably Jimmy Butler this past season and James Harden. We've seen it before, and it plays out as a public spectacle. Maybe the WNBA, this team in particular, has more eyes on them, so it becomes a bigger story. But that absence wasn't just going to be able to be like, oh, nobody cares. You know, where's DeWanna Bonner? Oh, she's fine. She's going to be away for 5 games and miss, an entire road trip and all that.
Largely thanks to the arrival of players like Caitlin Clark. It's ironic, too. The Fever finally get national attention, finally get packed arenas and jersey sales. And instead of building on that momentum with full professionalism, they stumble on basic communication. And Bonner, a veteran who could have helped guide the team through the pressure of the spotlight, exits stage left without even a quote. That hurts the team, hurts the locker room, and most importantly, hurts the league's image. And let's not forget Bonner's legacy here. This is a player who's given over a decade to the game. She's a fierce competitor, a locker room leader, and someone who's earned the right to control her own destiny. If she felt that Indiana wasn't the place for her, that's fair. No one should be forced to stay in an environment they don't believe in.
You weren't ever expecting her to. The whole point to me was the idea that she can come and not have to score a ton and everything. Like it's encouraged, fantastic, right? But if you're an Indiana Fever fan, like that's not exactly what you are desperately needing. You got plenty of scoring with Kelsey Mitchell, with Caitlin Clark, with Aaliyah Boston. Like that's really not your worry. It's the other things that DeWanna Bonner is so incredibly great at that you were kind of hoping for, and just even more so, just the threat of her being on the court offensively was enough. So I'm not even like really worried about the stats in that sense of like, oh, was this some type of bad performance? Like, I never really felt like that. Like, could she have been better? Absolutely. But ultimately, I never felt like awful about what DeWanna Bonner was producing on the court by any means.
But the way this entire thing was handled leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Because when you're a public figure, especially in sports, disappearing without clarity creates distrust. And for the WNBA to grow, trust between players, teams, and fans has to be stronger than ever. So what now? The Fever move on. They already have. Caitlin Clark continues to break records, Aaliyah Boston develops her game, and the team builds its identity without Bonner. But what they've lost can't be easily replaced. Veteran leadership like Bonner's is rare. Her presence in big games, her ability to calm a young locker room, her experience navigating playoff pressure, those are things that don't show up on the stat sheet but matter deeply in the long run.
You know, DB is somebody that, you know, he's a Hall of Famer, like a legend, not only a good basketball player, a great person, a great leader. You know, the strongest voice in our locker room is hers. And it's fun to have been around here now for about a month just to get to learn from her and soak it in. And I'm really happy she got to do it at the free throw line and all the fans could go crazy and cheer for her because she certainly deserved that moment. And it was really awesome to see and be a part.
For Bonner, the question becomes, where does she go from here? Does she return to the Sun to be closer to Thomas? Does she retire quietly and call it a career after one of the most decorated runs in league history? Or does she re-emerge later this season with a new team in a new environment that fits her better? All of those paths are possible, but what's unlikely is her ever wearing a Fever jersey again. And for Indiana, they have to learn from this. If you're going to sign high-profile veterans, especially those nearing the end of their careers, you better have a plan. You better have a system in place to support them, not just physically but emotionally and mentally too. Especially when you're asking them to step into a team dominated by a rookie phenom and a bright national spotlight. This isn't the same old Indiana Fever, and that means handling things like this with transparency, maturity, and vision. At the end of the day, fans deserve the truth, players deserve respect, and the league deserves better leadership and structure to prevent situations like this from becoming recurring stories. Because right now, when you think about DeWanna Bonner's time with the Fever, you don't think about leadership, highlights, or locker room moments. You think about confusion, silence, and missed opportunities. That's a shame for the player, for the team, and for the league. Let us know what you think in the comments. Was this a personal decision gone wrong, a management failure, or a little bit of both? And do you think Bonner will return to the WNBA, or is this her quiet farewell? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so you never miss another deep dive on everything happening in the WNBA. This has been Fast Break Hoops, and we'll see you next time.